back to the Laker family, where I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about last night's game between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. Um, I can say I'm disappointed, but at the same time, I wasn't going into this game fully expecting a win due to the fact that we were obviously without our leader, LeBron James. But I still wanted to see a couple things. I wanted to see how this team would respond without our leader. Would they be able to rally each other and pull out a victory, which would have been very impressive to me. And another thing I wanted to see was how well Anthony Davis looked without LeBron, as far as being able to hold his own and to see how well he could possibly elevate the teammates around him. I saw some of that. There were a few silver linings in this game. One of them being Kyle Kuzma. I liked the way he played, and that was the Kyle Kuzma that we had been kind of waiting on and searching for the most part of the year. I think he only had maybe 4 good stretches of good games this year, and then he was back. He got re-injured, and he kind of tailed off again. But this was the first time since then that Kyle Kuzma looked close to Kyle Kuzma. So I was very pleased in that part because we're going to need him. We're going to need him way more than what we realized. We thought maybe he would just be like an icing on the cake type of player. LeBron and AD would just run through the rest of the West like light work, so Kyle Kuzma would be just the cherry on top. But now it's looking as if Kyle Kuzma has to be a legit all-star type of player for us to be head and shoulders above everybody else. Is it time to panic just yet as far as trades? I'm on the fence. To be honest, I'm on the fence about it. But you have to look at it from both ways. Your role players has to play well in order for them to even have any type of trade value for anybody to want to make a deal with you on. So if they're not performing at even an average level, who's going to want to trade for you in the first place? Even if you call yourself trying to package some players, like package maybe 2 players for 1, 3 for 1, it's not going to get you a lot back in return. So you're almost better off just keeping what you got. I've heard some names thrown out there. I like the sound of Derrick Rose, but again, as good as Derrick Rose has been playing, what do you expect us to offer the Detroit Pistons that would even be appeasing enough for them to say, okay, we'll take that for Derrick Rose? Just be honest. We don't have draft picks to sweeten any type of deal. You know what I'm saying? If you want to trade Danny Green, that's going to be a tall task because of the contract that he has, the expensive contract that he has. So combined with the fact that if you try to trade a player like Danny Green, I think he's making $90 million over 2 years, something like that. And then he put up 5 points last night. That stuff like that just has me scratching my head because that's way too much money to be paying somebody that's not even producing what they're supposed to produce at, which is 3-point shooting. At least you want to see 4 or 5 made threes from that type of player making that type of money in a game nightly. Um, and and then his defense is here and there. It's not. It hasn't been elite. So if you're not going to produce what you're known to do, I at least want to see 4 steals in there somewhere. 8 rebounds. Give me a couple of do something for that type of amount of money you're getting paid. And people throw out should we trade all day, but there's only so much you can do. We're kind of strapped and stuck with the supporting cast that we have, so we just have to make do with what we got. Yes, they're going to have good games here and there, and a couple of them have good playoff experience underneath their belt. But again, these are older guys. Some of them might be even on the backside of their career. So you can't expect them to bring this every night at their age, some of these guys' ages. The only young guy we have is basically Kyle Kuzma. Everybody else is either 30 or above. And you can't expect them to, in this marathon type of a season, bring it nightly. Now, if they were able to bring it together in the playoffs, where it really mattered, that would be another story. But we don't know yet. We don't know with this collective group yet how they'll respond in the playoffs. I know there's a playoff Rondo. I know Danny Green normally hits big shots in the playoffs. He gets cold too in the playoffs, but he's known to hit some clutch, some real clutch shots in the playoffs as well. Dudley has good playoffs experience. Quinn Cook has good playoff experience, but for the most part, a few of these guys have been underwhelming. That we thought we were going to get more from. Quinn Cook, Danny Green, Dudley maybe only had one good game this year. Dudley had that first game that he started, I believe. He had like 4 threes or something like that, and I'm thinking, okay, we might be on something here, and then he just disappeared ever since then. So it's frustrating that the bench is up and down the way it is, but Rob Pelinka, I believe, did the best he could do after that Kawhi pulled that move on us that he did. But yeah, man, it's leading to overuse of our superstar players, and that leads me to a major concern about what happened to Anthony Davis last night. He hyperextended his knee, and it was very scary to watch. You kind of held your breath when you saw it. When he bounced up and was able to walk on it, I was a little more relieved. But you just don't know what type of lingering effects it might have. We're going to keep our fingers crossed, knock on wood, and just pray for the best for the kid, because we really need him. And after it happened, I was already wondering why he was out there during a blowout when the Denver Nuggets had kind of ran away with the game. That was kind of idiotic on Frank Vogel's part. This has probably been the first time that I've seen something that crucially bad from Frank Vogel. That could have cost us a ton of games and possibly the season if that injury was more devastating than what it was. We have to be careful, and because first of all, you already know Anthony Davis's history with injuries. You know that as a coach. Secondly, the game was out of hand, and that's second. The game was out of hand. Third, Anthony Davis was expending way too much energy trying to cover up for the rest of his teammates that were looking like bums on the defensive end. just couldn't guard the 3-point line. He had to basically go out and try to help them and then keep recovering back to his man. And that's very difficult to keep doing throughout a 48-minute game. Mills had to hit a couple of threes. You can't run back out to your man faithfully and try to help your teammates. It's just not going to be a successful thing to do. So Anthony Davis found himself scrambling a lot, trying. He wants to be known as the top defender in the league, and I applaud him for that. But at this game, he should have probably maybe toned it down. And number one, Frank Vogel should have just taken him out, waved the white flag when he saw that our guys just wasn't finna play defense. We kept it close. I got a little excited when we got up, 31-26, something like that. I was like, okay, the guys are looking like they want this. They want to show us that they can do this without our leader, LeBron. And I think it got to like a 55, 53 point game at the halftime. And third quarters, when the Nuggets started pulling away, we kept trying to make a little run here and there, but eventually the Nuggets pulled away and had us up by 20 at one point, and it was just pointless to have Anthony Davis out there. That was very silly. So that leads me to another point. If y'all go back and look at my video, it's titled Brandon Ingram Balling. Did we give up way too much for Anthony Davis? At the time, I was a lot in my feelings about it because I saw the player that I knew Ingram would become. I saw him becoming that player. But not just Ingram, I was critical of that we have to win this year, not next year or the year after or so on and so forth. We have to win the championship this year to justify that trade. One is because I warned y'all, if you didn't know already, that Anthony Davis has injury history. Two, you know that you were going to be lacking as far as support from the bench because the youth depth is going up. Youth helps you in a marathon season. Experience and older guys, they help you more so in the playoffs. But we don't know with this collective group what those older guys will look like in the playoffs. But we do know that a depth of youth goes a long way during a marathon stretch of a season. So, yes, the young youth were lacking playoff experience or whatnot, but that was depth that could have been still there and next year. And then you acquire an Anthony Davis. A lot of folks didn't want to hear that because, he might not come. He might not. You see what happened with Paul George. You see what happened with Kawhi. Okay, but you give all that up plus draft picks, and then you don't win a chip this year, it's going to look like you lost that trade in a sense because the Pelicans are set up for the future. We are set up for now. So if you trade and gamble all that away for the now and you don't win the now, you're going to be left looking kind of silly, even though Anthony Davis is this otherworldly type of athlete. We know he's otherworldly, but you also know his history. And you also know that you're going to be lacking the youthful depth you need to make it through a marathon type of season. We don't know if once the playoffs came, how well the youth would gel together with LeBron and all that, this, that, and third, because we don't know. We had to go through terrible coaching with Luke Walton. So we have to keep that in mind. If we do not win a chip this year, that trade will be questionable because come next summer, a lot of y'all, even though y'all don't want to hear it, and a lot of y'all LeBron fans don't want to hear it, next summer y'all going to be questioning, well, dang, if we lost the championship, we could have been signing Anthony Davis and still had what we had on the plate. So, and then I hear a lot of y'all keep saying, well, do y'all feel like we should have kept Ingram now after a couple of losses? And then some people say, no, well, we couldn't have traded for Anthony Davis without Ingram. I say we could have really played hardball with the Pelicans, especially after how they did us. Number one, they wasn't going to get a deal better than what we had to offer. No way. Boston was the only other team making play, but they were already telling the Pelicans they were not moving off of Jason Tatum. So no Jason Tatum, there's no trade. So that only left us to make a deal with. You could have played hardball with the Pelicans and maybe had LeBron talk to Caldwell Pope, ask him to waive that no trade clause. Caldwell Pope is going to do whatever LeBron tells him to do because LeBron's team is responsible for getting Caldwell Pope paid anyway by us. So he's owed debt to LeBron. If LeBron says, hey, I want to keep Ingram, waive your trade clause, I got you paid, it's just business. It could have happened. But the fight wasn't there to, enough to keep Ingram. So if the fight wasn't there to keep Ingram, then there shouldn't be all this backlash now. Well, maybe we should have kept Ingram, or this, that, and the third. Or, you know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. So we have to roll with what we got, and we are basically stuck with the players that we have. Unless the Memphis Grizzlies get off their high horse and waive Iguodala, we can't trade for Iguodala. So we're basically held hostage on the Iguodala situation with the Memphis Grizzlies. Other than that, we have to start gelling and figure out our problems internally. We can't really keep too much of the focus externally on what if this and what if that, or maybe we can trade, because we are basically stuck with what we got. Make it work. This is what we asked for. We wanted Anthony Davis. Rob Pelinka did the best he could do as far as trade signings after Kawhi did us dirty. Work with it. That's all I have to say about that. So let's continue to get better, figure out things we need to improve on. Rondo needs to step it up, start back shooting better like what he did in the beginning of the season. Bradley, we don't know how much that stress factor did a number on him as far as his rhythm, because he was in a great rhythm at the beginning of the season. So hopefully we can get him back on the right track. Let's keep Kuzma on this track. That 16 points, let's keep seeing him improve upon that. We have the Clippers Christmas Day, and we're going in there pretty much banged up. I wish we could have load managed LeBron on a different game other than the Nuggets, an easier game, but it is what it is. LeBron needed his rest. It was time for him to get a rest. But the next time we load manage, we got to do a little bit better job of choosing the games to load manage. I don't have a problem with it now because I see the total workload that's being put amongst our superstars. And that's not conducive to a long-term success for this season. So with that being said, I think I've rambled on enough. And as always, thank y'all for watching the Laker family. If y'all would like to join, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Hey, I got muscles like Superman trainer. Hey, real rare like Super Saiyan Mega.